Hi, I'm Shane, Product Development Engineer with Quick Attach. Today I'd like to go over the features and benefits of our Rage disc mulcher. Our disc mulcher weighs 2,750 pounds and has a 60-inch cut. It's powered by a Parker fixed displacement bent axis piston motor. This allows it to spin up to over 1,000 RPM. This motor is sized for flow rates from 32 to 45 gallons per minute and can handle pressures up to 6,000 psi. The bearing carrier is American made and features a forged 4-inch output shaft. The maximum cutting capacity is rated at 14 inches in diameter, but it can mulch an entire 6-inch tree in one shot. And that's what makes disc mulchers so much more productive than drum mulchers in that size material. One of the safety features we have incorporated into the deck is this pivoted deflector shield. And the reason you would have it moved up or pivoted upward like this is for transport, and also if you're working in an area where you're not as concerned about flying debris. If you're working in an area and you want more debris deflection, you can simply pull this hitch pin here and fold it down. Just the weight alone will help keep the debris knocked down. It's built in such a way so it has a ski toe on the front, so if you hit an obstruction like a tree or something else, it'll still fold up and not damage the deck. So I want to talk about the unique push bar that we use on this deck. It's unlike anything seen in the industry, and that's for several reasons. First of all, we're using 4 vertical members to support it. They're made up of heavy wall 2 by 4-inch rectangle tubing. A lot of the competitors' models are only held by 2 vertical members. Secondly, the push bar front portion is also made up of 2 by 4 rectangle tubing, so it's extremely strong in the correct direction, in the pushing direction. Thirdly, the shape of this push bar is unique in that it's protecting the entire top of the deck from material that might fall on it, and it's designed with a taper in 2 different directions. And that's so that it will shed material easier. A lot of times when you're working in the woods, you'll have a tree or branch that will fall on top of the machine, and that really cuts productivity if you can't get it off of there, because you may have to get out to remove it, and that can be also dangerous for an operator if they get out while the disc is moving. So we've designed this push bar specifically to increase productivity and to increase protection on the top of the deck. So I'd like to talk about the extreme strength and build quality of this deck. When you're working in the woods and you're doing something as extreme as disc mulching, you have to have an extremely strong deck, and we've incorporated several features into this deck to make it strong. First of all, we're using really thick and high strength steel. So the top deck is made up of 1/2-inch plate steel, and as are these deep web ribs here that run directly out to the front corners to support the corners. The skid shoes are made up of 3-inch wide by 1/2-inch plate steel. A lot of the other supporting members are made up of 3/8-inch plate steel, and you'll notice that everything is solid welded. There's no stitch welding on these main components. And so that's going to give extreme strength in all this structure. Another really neat feature about this deck design is that we've incorporated a cover where we have the steps. So we have high traction treads for getting onto the deck and into the machine, but we've also enclosed this area here where the hoses come out of the motor, and that's to protect the hoses first of all, but also you can use this area if you want to hold some tools or a toolbox. So it's really easy to access. Simply pull the 2 snubbers off and you gain easy access. So I want to talk a little bit about the hoses we're using on this disc mulcher. First of all, we're using 1-inch hoses to handle high flow with less restriction. We have them routed in such a way that they come out near the pivot point of the mounting plate, so that as you move the disc mulcher up and down, the relative length of hose, it doesn't change much. So that means that your hoses will last longer. They'll be safer as you use them. We're using this really heavy plastic wrap shield on here to again contain the hoses, keep them tight, keep them together, and also protect them from getting hooked or wrapped by branches as you work in the woods. Along with optimized hose routing, we provide this handy strap tool that can be locked into any one of 3 locations on the deck. And this is going to help hold the hoses towards the deck, pull them towards the deck and keep them out of harm's way. But also it's going to relieve some of the stress on the hydraulic quick disconnects up at the skid steer. When you have really heavy hoses, what can happen over time is they'll wear out sooner, and this will help make those couplers last longer. Also, I want to point out that on our case drain line, we have plumbed in a low pressure bypass valve, and this is to ensure that the shaft seal in the motor will survive if there's something that blocks the case drain line. Whether you forget to attach it or if it becomes damaged, it won't damage the shaft seal on the motor because it will bypass right here. Okay, so I want to zoom in here and talk in more detail about the disc design. The disc is a key component, obviously, to how the machine performs. It starts with how it's built, how it's constructed. We're using 3-piece laminated plate, and we're on the top and bottom we're using 3/8 inch grade 100 plate, and in the middle we have a 3/4 inch plate. So the reason we do that is so that you can make a deeper cross section that makes the disc stronger and stiffer to resist bending and wobbling as it's cutting and mulching trees over there. But also it gives us a handy place to bolt in the tooth holders. These tooth holders are machined and heat treated to a specification that ensures that not only are they strong, but also somewhat hard. And you don't want it too hard so that there's any kind of chance of it breaking, but you want it hard enough to resist the kinds of abrasion that happen when you're cutting material close to the ground. The teeth that we use are manufactured by Quadco in Canada. They are one of the originators of forestry teeth. These are proprietary, and they're about 2 1/4 inches in kerf, and that's the width that it cuts. A lot of our competitors are only using 2-inch kerf teeth, and we feel that the larger kerf is a more aggressive tooth. It grabs and cuts quicker and more aggressively, so we like that aggressive action. A neat feature about the tooth holders is that the top and bottom holders are the same part, so they can be swapped top to bottom if you wish. They're also symmetrical front to back, so if you want to take a tooth holder and actually turn it 180 degrees to use the other side, you can. For the bottom teeth, we offer both the beaver style cutting tooth as well as a carbide tooth. Now, the reason we offer carbide is because in some areas where there's a lot of rocks, the beaver teeth don't survive well. So we've offered these carbide teeth as a more robust feature, a more robust option for those people that are working in rocky conditions. When you talk about the performance of this disc mulcher, the numbers are just staggering. The disc weighs over 1,000 pounds and is spinning at over 1,000 RPM. That gives you the equivalent energy of a half-ton pickup truck traveling at 60 miles an hour. So you can imagine what happens when a vehicle that size smashes into a tree. That's what's happening when a tree gets cut and gets sucked into this disc mulcher. It's absolutely shredded in just a matter of a few seconds. And that is what makes disc mulchers so much more productive in certain size materials. And that's because the material can be cut and processed in one step. So I want to point out a key feature about the inlet side of this deck, and that is that it's wide open on top here. We also have this slanted reinforcement here that helps guide and feed the material into the disc. This is the side where most of the work is going to be done, because when you cut into standing trees, you're going to want to cut them on this half of the disc so that they feed in here. When the tree gets pinched between the deck and the disc, that's when the mulching happens. And so we have this open area with this slanted feature here to help guide the material into the cutting chamber. I want to show you this neat little gusset feature that we have underneath the deck here. Not only does this gusset help support the side plate of the deck, but also it acts as a deflector. So as the material is coming out this side of the deck, it's going to hit this deflector that's in here at an angle, and the material will be blown down in front of the machine. So one of the features of the disc design that isn't really obvious is the reason that we use 12 teeth on the perimeter. And the reason is that you need enough room in this area to get an air tool or similar tool in here to access this bolt. If you have more than 12 teeth, the teeth get so close that you don't have access or room. This space that we have here with 12 teeth gives you clear access with even a large 3/4 inch air impact tool to get this bolt off. I hope you've enjoyed this video on our Rage disc mulcher. Be sure to check back often as we make more videos just like this. As always, give us a call or check out our website if you have any questions.